Good evening. I'd like to formally call this special session meeting here at the Mackenzie School Gym here in Blue River. Of course, you can clap right now. This is a good time. Yay, right? And I'd like to also welcome those online. We have a full contingent of our commissioners, including Commissioner Trieger, who has just joined us online. Today is Wednesday, October 8th, 2025. We have a couple of items on our agenda, 6 items of reports of the Holiday Farm Fire and the recovery and some of the efforts that are being made. We had a wonderful tour today. Thank you, Mr. Matt McRae and staff, for giving us the tour of what's been going on. I know it's been a difficult 5 years, but perseverance and progress, and those of you that have persevered and progressed through all of the difficulties, you've shown great resilience. And we heard your heart today, and there was a lot of comments that I later on, when we have some comments from the Board of County Commissioners, will share with you. But right now, I'd like to go, before we do anything else, to our public comments. We came here for you. We want to hear from you. Our public comments are limited to 3 minutes. And so there's a lot you can pack into 3 minutes, but there's a lot you can pack over 3 minutes. But we give each person 3 minutes to talk. And we do that to be fair to everyone. And this is your First Amendment right. You can speak about whatever you want to do, whatever you want to speak about, and we want to hear you. So we're going to have some online queue and a live queue. And we have those that have already and didn't even show them. All right, so I have a list in front of me. And I'd like to start off with Lane Toppins, followed by Brandy Ferguson, please. So Lane, if you would state your name for the record when you start, your 3 minutes will begin.
Usually the microphone's too tall. I'm Lane Tompkins. I'm the superintendent principal here at Mackenzie River Community School in Mackenzie School District. And I just wanted to say, thanks for being here. It's a big deal, you guys doing your work far from all of your resources and backup, and your staff have done a really good job of coordinating for you all to be here. As you saw today in the tour, there's a lot of great stuff going on, a lot of good recovery happening, but there's still a lot to do. And, I would just appreciate your continued focus, your continued support on our community, because I think a lot of the lessons we're learning in recovery up here will also help elsewhere throughout rural parts of the county, and then also keep us prepared for the next disaster that happens, because we know there will be another disaster. So, but thank you for being here. Welcome to Mackenzie, and I hope you have a productive meeting.
Thank you very much. And Brandy Ferguson, followed by Mary Ellen Wheeler, please.
Hello, commissioners. I also want to thank you. It was a great opportunity today to get a chance to show the Rose Street neighborhood, Brandy Ferguson with the Mackenzie Community Land Trust. And, there's been a group of us that have been working on the Community Land Trust, organizing it, setting it up for 3.5 years, to be at a point now where we actually have 6 stick-built homes with families going to be moving in around the holidays is huge. And wanting to thank Lane County for helping us acquire that land, those 2 acres to build those 6 homes. And along the way, we are, as Lane said, we are all learning, our whole state, and after the 2020 fires, learning how to deal with disaster. And, I don't want to say we're all wise, but gosh, we have a lot of experience. We have a lot of lessons learned, and we've accomplished a lot, but we have a lot of work ahead. One of the biggest gaps that I've learned in this role is there's no assistance for businesses in disaster. I know we've all heard this before, but we can't see it enough. Looking at Main Street in Blue River, for instance, I know you got a chance to hear Melanie's story, but she's one of all of those still vacant lots. And the Community Land Trust, we got a grant from Business Oregon last year to do a commercial lot assessment and get a chance to meet with most of those commercial lot owners one-on-one and listen to their barriers. And only 2 had sold. They're committed to coming back. And just my ask is that we're going to be coming back asking for how can we all come together to help bring Main Street back. And so just please keep that in mind. And if you hear anything, we're going to be coming back asking for more help. So thank you.
Yeah, thank you, Brandy. Mary Ellen Wheeler, followed by Brandon. I'm going to leave it there, Brandon.
Hello, welcome. Mary Ellen Wheeler. I'm the program director for the Mackenzie Valley Long-Term Recovery Group. excuse me. And I want to address lazy days and the hurdles that we've had to go through for that. I had a young man that was going to come down tonight and tell his story, but he could not leave his job to come down. So it's been 5 years, as we all know, since the fire. And at that time, we had miners that were here living with their families. Their families have left. And we had several unhoused miners that were attending McKinsey. These two individuals that I'm going to talk about tonight have been employed on the river for one 7 years, the other one 8 years. And they were just deemed ineligible today for lazy days because they had no rental. They could not prove any rental leases or anything, contracts at the time of the fire. They were minors going to school, one living with their parents, one was living on a friend's couch. And these are the people, when we talk about workforce housing, this is what we really need to look at, because it has been 5 years. They were 17 and 18 years old. Now they're 23, 24, and they're living with their boss in a room so that they can stay employed and they can keep their job when they really want to stay on the river and be here, you know? So if there's anything that you guys can help us do to facilitate or figure out why that rule is there, because they're not the only ones. I mean, I know I could go out and find more if that was the case, but I just wanted to bring their case up because it's a major deal. We want to keep as many people on this river as we can, and especially in the service industry, we need workforce housing for them also. So anyway, thank you guys for your time.
Great. Thank you, Marion. Brandon, followed by Jean Flint, please.
Hello, I'm Braden Ravenscraft. I'm the Homeownership and Special Projects Manager for McKinsey Community Land Trust. I want to thank you all for taking the time to be upriver here today. I'm going to talk more about the Rose Street neighborhood, our first affordable housing development in Blue River. And I want to echo what Brandy said earlier and thank Lane County for providing the funding to acquire this land and to help with the pre-development costs as well. We also partnered with Dev Northwest to get a LIFT grant from Oregon Housing and Community Services, and that grant put us to make sure these houses are for people below 80% of the area median income. And that partnership with Dev Northwest has been crucial for us to get their expertise throughout all steps of the development process. So using the community land trust model, it's very impactful for an unincorporated rural community trying to rebuild after a disaster. We are able to purchase land and hold it in trust for the community benefit. We can build commercial properties. We can hold trail easements. Right now, our biggest focus has been housing, and we build homes, sell the homes, retain them. Within that lease, there's a resale formula that ensures these homes are going to be affordable at the next sale for another McKinsey family. We're creating generational homeownership opportunities. So the homes are all 3-bedroom, 1.5 bath, 1,300 square feet, but no two homes are the same. If you go take a look in downtown Blue River, thank you all for touring today. They're all a little bit unique, fire-wise standards and the landscaping as well. They're being sold for $250,000 to $275,000. And we had an application round open in the summer, and then we had a wait list that was open in September. And almost 40% of the applicants were Holiday Farm fire survivors. Over 80% of the applicants are in the local workforce. And so echoing the comments from earlier, workforce housing is the big need we are really seeing in the community. So we're excited about the future of what this model can offer for the community. And once again, I just want to thank Lane County for making this possible.
Thank you, Braden. Jean Flint, followed by Anthony Abel, please.
This gentleman took my place. Good evening. My name is Gene Flint, and I've lived here since 1980. And I really appreciate the folks that are putting a lot of time and effort into the affordable housing. the project on Rose Street is a nice project and it's very fitting in that location. But their second project they want to do is right across the street where I live on Blue River Road. Blue River Road, most of the property owners are not too happy about this concept of having 6 homes clustered. It's a suburban type situation and not fitting for the rural on our street. Our street, our spaced houses are spaced quite a bit away, which people really want. But to have that across the street, I don't really particularly care to have 6 houses. You know, let's see what the county will provide in lowering that number down. It doesn't pay for them to only put 1 house. I understand that. But I'm not happy with the situation at this time and point. So thank you very much.
Great, thank you, Gene. Anthony Abel, followed by Elaine Bryson.
Hi, I'm Anthony Abel. I'm a resident and a commercial property owner. Yeah, as people have spoken to, the commercial property hasn't moved much in the past 5 years. I've been grateful for the housing support. It's been a great program and helpful. But as you go downtown, all you see is foundations. And I want to emphasize it's commercial property owners that lost buildings. I've tried in the last 10 years to rent, find a business to happen at my place, and it's been very difficult. And now that I don't have a building, it's even more difficult. So I think you really have to work at finding a way to fund the commercial properties if you want to see recovery. Otherwise, you're just going to see foundations. And I'm wondering, you know, with the peer money, I told the peer group this when I sat in with it, and I'm wondering, you know, if you can find ways to get the food pantry there. I know some of the challenges have been with the environmental studies and the federal regulations. I would hope you would look for ways for commercial property owners to do the same. I just can't emphasize enough. I think that's the only way it's going to recover is if you help people that own these properties. And people are willing. I've spoke with a bunch of them, and I worked through the sanitation process to help with the new funds for the advanced systems. And people are interested. They want to get stuff done. We want to be successful downtown. And, you know, we just need help. And as far as the sanitation project goes, I really don't understand that. I feel like it's a waste of money. There's never been enough people wanting to hook up to it. It feels like a development project, not a recovery project. And I think that's important to take note about. We really need to be focused on recovery projects. You haven't finished it. We haven't finished this part of the rebuild of Blue River. And I think it's important to make those your priority. And lastly, I have spent the last 6 months on the water board and park board. And I'm greatly concerned about Anthony Cassad and him saying he's a elector of the county. He is, it is observable by most of us that live here that he is not. And he is, needs to be held to account for his saying that he is a resident here, a full-time resident, because that's what you have to be on these boards. And so I know he did a lot of reporting on us when we were trying to rebuild. And one of the things that happened was that they came and checked my RVs that were staging for fire survivors to see if people were living in them. I don't know why this couldn't be applied to Mr. Cassad. Thank you.
All right, thank you. Elaine Bryson, followed by Melanie Stanley.
Hey, good evening. My name's Elaine Bryson, and I sit in position for the McKenzie School District. And I just want to echo a little bit what Lane said. Welcome you guys to our district and our gym, and to thank you for your support that you've given us along the way of the holiday fire. And I really look forward to the continued support that you'll give our district, our facilities here. So thank you very much for being here.
Thank you. Melanie Stanley, followed by Jim Parks.
Hi, everybody. I'm Melanie Stanley. I think all of you guys know me. Everybody, you guys got to see where the store is at as far as right now in the rebuild process. We are currently at a standstill until we can figure out a stable funding source. Insurance has refused to continue to pay at the current replacement costs. Traditional lenders will not lend based on sorry. We are trying to get other funding sources figured out, but with no more than a year of steady income because the business no longer exists right now. Nobody wants to loan any money. Business recovery fund that's been approved still isn't even live and won't be accepting applications until probably at least November. And in the long run won't actually help me because it doesn't help fund construction. We still have no information about exactly how that's going to work. It's been said that it may be a lottery. It said it's, all of those. It's going to cover the entire 26 miles that were fire affected. And it's not enough money. It's only $2 million. So if it's a lottery and the businesses that were completely obliterated don't even get picked, then we don't even stand a chance. Brick and mortar businesses are in some level of rebuild. Currently, there's only 4 of us that are trying to rebuild at all, at least from that level. Home businesses have been trying to rebuild and have rebuilt in some respect. Those 4 businesses have half-built. There's 2 of us that have half-built businesses. And businesses that were completely destroyed need to be looked at differently than businesses who were fire affected and are still remaining standing. Wildfire recovery is different than economic revitalization. And there are a lot of us who feel like we don't matter because we're not trying to build the new thing, the better thing, or the upgraded thing. For those of us who stayed and tried to are trying to come back, we matter, and it should be we're the priority, not necessarily just the businesses who are trying to come in brand new. Sorry. None of us should feel like we have to come in and put ourselves $1 million in debt to be able to come back. And housing money has been coming and coming and coming. I know that that's also been a really slow process, and I feel bad for everybody on that respect, but at least that money will be coming at some point. Businesses still have nothing. So thank you for your guys' time.
Thank you, Melanie. Jim Parks, followed by Tabitha Eck.
Good evening. I wasn't planning on speaking, but here I am. So I'm Jim Parks. I'm kind of new here. I've been here 5 years. I'm on the park board, chairman for the park. I'm chairman for the water district board. I just ran here working from the park this afternoon. I didn't see any folks there. I wish you would have stopped by, but we'll get it cleaned up and invite you there someday and for you to enjoy it. Well said, Melanie. I'm on a lot of committees here. I wear a lot of hats. I'm a volunteer. And what I see at a lot of these meetings are discussions about what Melanie said, commercial properties. We see a lot of rentals and house selling going on. And I don't see a lot of help with commercial. Now, I understand that if I was a commercial property owner, it would probably be my responsibility to have insurance and be insured and be able to rebuild. And maybe that's a factor. I don't know. But I want you to consider maybe discussing interest-free loans or some sort of information like that that could help our community. I kind of expected to see this community bounce back with commercial properties, say coffee shops or some sort of small business startups, but I haven't seen that yet. And it's kind of disheartening. I've been around the state and I just don't understand why we can be devastated like that and remain devastated for 5 years. Thank you for your time.
Thank you, Tabitha Eck, followed by Jane Wilson.
Good evening again. Thank you all for visiting us. I know this was a grand production and much time went into this. City, county staff, you're awesome for making this happen. And thank you for taking the time to be with us today. My name is Tabitha Eck. I'm the executive director of the McKenzie Community Land Trust, a local nonprofit that came about following the fire, stood up by community leaders that were looking for a tool, something to help the community rebuild itself. And the Community Land Trust proved to be such a valuable tool. In place now, you got to tour our Rose Street homes, hear from Braden about who's looking for housing and the kind of housing that is needed in our community. The answer is very clear. It's workforce housing. Now, our organization did not wait for the recovery dollars to come down the line to start the rebuilding process. We accessed State of Oregon, that affordable housing dollar, lift money, and with the help of Dev Northwest, began that Rose Street project over 2.5 years ago, just now being complete. Yay, yay that we have 6 homes coming back to our community. But of course, there is so much more work to be done. You heard from Brandy about the economics supports that we can offer. From Braden, it's not just housing, but anything that the community needs. That is the sole purpose of a community land trust, to purchase, develop, and retain land for the good of the community. And it's such a powerful tool that we've just now beginning to use. So we have excitement for the future. We have 2 more pieces of property that have been sold to us by long-term river families that wanted the legacy of their land to remain in the community, for the community. And through the community land trust model, we will be able to do that. We're leveraging county monies right now to look at that land and see what is even possible. We don't know how many homes or what those homes are going to look like. We are hopeful that the recovery monies that are coming our way, that we'll be able to break out of that 80% AMI. Yes, that is a need, but the bigger need, the need of housing that is almost completely gone, is that middle housing. Your average Joe, your professional, your young professionals, your teacher or your firefighter that's been employed for 5+ years, they're not eligible for our Rose Street homes. We have a lot of interest from employer entry level. Yes, we need those humans, but we need every part of our community to be restored. And it's not just 5 years of recovery. We all know that the river has been losing its sons and daughters to the big city for generations. But there has to be a place for them to come home to when they're ready to come home. Moved back to the river 10 years ago, so our kids could go to school here. But this is the first time I've had an opportunity to put my professional skills to work here. And I'm grateful to be able to work and live in this river and in this community. Thank you all for being a part of it.
Thank you, Tabitha. Jane Wilson, followed by Doug Farrington.
I'm Jane Wilson. I've been coming up to the river since I was 7 years old. I finally got my chance and moved up here about 10, 11 years ago. Lost my house in the fire. What I really want to tell you about is this group of people behind me. The number of volunteer hours and backbreaking work and time spent away from their own jobs or families, whatever else was going on, to help each other is something I think pretty rare and that I've never experienced anywhere else. So I would like to thank all of them for all they do for all of us. Off to you. The other thing I will also say is I agree completely with the commercial piece on Main Street. Houses are important and that will continue. There's no doubt about that. But the commercial side that will bring other people into Blue River to buy a book, to eat a meal, to do whatever, that's also as important. We've got a fire station, we have a library, we have a clinic, we have Rose Street, but we don't have a store. So I would like to have you consider what else we need. Thank you.
Thank you, Doug Farrington, followed by Shay Spotty. Hey, Doug.
Thank you again, just to reiterate, for taking the show on the road. It's no small task, I understand, to do that. So, and for the sake of time, I don't want to be redundant for some of the things that have been said, but just represent as a community member who isn't on any of the committees or boards that are speaking or representing, but agree with what they're saying. So just want to lend my support to those, and specifically on two topics. Lazy Days, there are 30 homes there, 12 are occupied. I certainly agree with the priority phasing that has occurred, but I would just say it might be time to open the doors and maybe still have a priority of anyone that is living in the zip code. At this point, if you know the stories, the common thread among this community is it doesn't matter who you are or what your situation was, you were affected by the fire. If you lived here in any way, it doesn't matter if you were couch surfing. If you work here, you live here, and you still are, you were affected and have continued to be affected by the fire. And if you need a place to live, let's open the door and keep people working here so they're not going somewhere else to work. And then also the business fund. Yeah, we just need businesses. So anything you can do to lend that support. And I know that you're not the state legislature, and you deal with just as many obstacles in getting money freed up. And I would just end with still the big question that we as citizens have. 5 years ago, as you know, there was $422 million allocated to Oregon. It's been interesting that I only recently learned that those are reimbursable funds. That changes the whole story, and that explains a lot. And also, we're aware that there are recent federal cuts that are taking place. So it really complicates everything. Still, the question is, and the encouragement is, anything you can do to advocate on our behalf toward the state level to see some of those dollars actually hit the ground in the McKenzie Valley, let alone any of the other 5 areas that experience fires. And I know this is an ongoing task, and many of you, I know Heather and others have really been working on that, and I would just encourage you to continue to do that. Yeah. So anyway, thank you.
Thank you, Doug. Shay Spotty, followed by Mr. or Mrs. Levine. Oh, Chris Levine. Hi.
May I approach you all?
You can leave the material on the table. We have all these rules, sorry, but yes, thank you.
Okay,
We'll
so
get them.
I'm
We'll
here
get 'em.
as a homeowner who I actually had 2 homes burned down in the fire, plus a number of other things. I'm here to address the dark sky, night sky issue, but I'd just like to say that I'm so appreciative that we have been allowed an extra 5-year extension to do building without extra requirements, because it's taken me 5 years after the fire to get myself together enough to even consider rebuilding. So that is really helpful for not only myself, but a lot of people I know that are in the same situation as me. So thank you. And living in Blue River, I live outside of town a little bit, and I'm very focused on lights. So as we rebuild, I've been talking to our little community about rebuilding with lighting in a more night-friendly way. And I'm going to show you why. First, can you see from there? Okay, so the first little picture here is our dark skies in the United States in the 50s. Then we moved to the 70s. Then we moved to the 90s. And this is us now. So there is half of our nation that doesn't even have the opportunity to see a dark sky. They can't see the Milky Way. They can't see anything. We in Oregon have the opportunity and still have some dark skies. The dark sky Oregon people have come around to encourage tourism. So because we have the largest dark sky sanctuary on the planet designated right now, They are bringing people. We have been included as a corridor, the McKenzie corridor, in their economic focus for us. So they're trying to help us with our economic base as tourism to extend from Central Oregon through the McKenzie Valley. This particular picture shows where we are now with our lights. And if we just do full shielding, because you'll be hearing about this later, and that's what these brochures talk about. We're just looking for simple fixes on external lighting. That is what we call fully shielded, focuses the light down and is amber in color. That's it. It's not any more controversial than that. If we do that, we can expand our dark skies, including along the coast, because Lane County has land on the coast, which is no longer dark. And if we do both, the amber lighting and the focused, we're almost back to 1950s levels of darkness with nothing more than outside light fixtures. So I have here information on the 5 lighting principles, and thanks for looking at the pictures. And we still can see the Milky Way, and we can still see a lot of things here in Oregon. And we have a wonderful opportunity economically to use these dollars, tourist dollars, in Blue River and in the whole McKenzie River Valley. So that's what that's about.
Thank you very much.
Right there.
Chris Levine. And then we'll go to our online queue. What? We're going.
Yeah, my name is Chris Lavoy with very bad penmanship. So apology for that.
I always appreciate help with penmanship. Thank you.
So property owner and resident for a long time in Blue River, owned the old McKenzie River Mountain Resort, the old Ranger Station. And now I'm currently serving as one of the many people volunteering for nonprofits. I'm working with the Community Development Corporation, McKenzie Community Partnership. And primarily what I wanted to just come and tell you, I expected everybody to be here with pitchforks and knives, always complaining, because it seems like every time I go to a commissioner meeting, there's always a line of people complaining to you. And I just wanted to say thank you. I really appreciate the work that you have done. Is it perfect? Does it hit all the buttons that do everything we need? It hasn't yet, but we have no template for this. And you guys stepped up and did a whole lot of really amazing things for the community. And I just really want to make sure that doesn't get lost in the mix. We really appreciate what you've done. Yes, we need more. Yes, businesses are desperately need help. I thought we were fully insured, but at the end of the day, and now the new calculation, about 30 cents on the dollar is what we got for rebuilding costs. So when we talk about how can we rebuild or what can we rebuild, can we get there? Yeah, it's a really, really tough climb. Do I want to? Yes, I'd love to put something really nice in Blue River and help that to jumpstart, bring business and money into the community. I'm at a point where it's very difficult to do that. I can echo what Melanie is talking about. You know, that money that's coming, that's going to help. Well, we still haven't come out and rebuild yet. The new flex zoning is going to be amazingly helpful for that. It's still new, so we still got to figure it out, and it's possible. We still have to figure out what will pencil financially. We still have to figure out what will finance. And it's going to be a tough, very tough thing to keep moving forward with. And sometimes when I look at other opportunities, it's smarter to put my money somewhere else. But emotionally, I'd like to do something in Blue River and keep it going. So the help that you guys can do to help goose that along, if it's possible, is super appreciated. So again, thank you very much for all that you guys have done.
Thank you very much for that, Chris. Appreciate that very much. That includes our presence. We do have maybe some online. We have 2 online. So those of you online, we're usually Jessica talks to you and runs you through the paces here, but we will open up your mic so that you can share with us audibly. We're saving some bandwidth, so we're not going to put your image on there on video. And so as Jessica calls you up, she's going to tell me who is first. And Douglas, you'll be first. So if you'll notice that you've been invited back in as a panelist, I believe, and make sure your mic is unmuted and you can state your name and start whenever you're ready.
Apologies, I just registered to observe. I have no public comment this evening.
Well, Douglas, that was the deepest public comment we've had all night. We certainly appreciate that very much. You were encouraging and brief. So our next one would be Mary, you're next, and you can unmute your mic and start when you're ready.
We are in the same boat. We're just here to observe.
Okay, I'm liking this online queue more and more as we move on. So thank you very much for participating, though. We do appreciate you being here for the meeting. It's really special to us to have you with us. So to that end, we're going to save some time at the end of the meeting for some comments from the commissioners in that, but our county administration items will begin. Matt McCray, our disaster recovery director extraordinaire, will be kind of emceeing these next few items. So Matt, whenever you're ready, you've done such a great job today. Don't blow it now because you've done great. So keep it going.
Thank you, Chair. I appreciate that. For those who haven't had a chance to see the agenda, we are just going to have a handful of kind of rapid fire updates on a number of programs and projects. And so I'm just going to invite folks to jump up here and join me and provide updates. And I'm just going to start right off then with Susan Fricke from eWeb. Susan is the Water Resource and Quality Assurance Supervisor at eWeb, and she and her team have been incredibly supportive of distributing some grant funds that I'm going to let Susan tell you more about.
Okay, let's talk about this. Is this thing on? Okay. So hi, I'm Susan, and it's been so wonderful working with this community and working with Lane County on getting septic funds out. I'm here to tell you we still have one more year to go. So until September 1st of 2026, we still have septic funds for repair and replacement of your septic systems. This can also cover inspection costs, soil testing, site evaluation, and permit fees. And it's not only residential, but it's also commercial ones right now as well. So if you have a business and you need a septic for it, that we could help with that one part. I know the residential are up to 35,000. We have Misty in the house. Do you mind waving? There's Misty. Yes. So Misty deals with our application. She's wonderful. She's very responsive. If you have any questions at all, she would be more than happy to talk with you, email, phone, whichever works best for you. If you know anyone who needs a septic, please get a hold of her. We would love to help you out. Again, that has to be done by September 1st, 2026. They all have to be completed and we have to get the funds in by then. That's not anything that any of us can control. So we just want to try to get as much money on the ground as we possibly can. And this can also be for primary dwelling. It can be if you have a long-term rental, like if you're renting to one of these folks we've been talking about, it can be for that and for commercial. So it's expanded in its thing. It's all people within the Holiday Farm Fire footprint. And then I just wanted to talk about, we also have a septic maintenance incentive through eWeb for $300 that you can use every 3 years. If you need to have your septic system, if it's doing okay, you just want it maintained, pumped, that kind of thing, we have a rebate for that as well. And so far with the money we've got, we had 2 grants totaling $3 million, and we've given out 163 Holiday Farm Fire septic system projects that have been funded through September of this year. That's 163 people that have improved or repaired or brand new septics. That's wonderful. Such a good thing for this community. We have 25 Lane County and DEQ projects approved and waiting for project completion. And then we have 19 new Lane County applications that are pending with these new grant funds that we're hoping to come through any minute. And out of that, we just want to talk about, there were 2 commercial properties. I've heard a lot of talk about commercial, very important to rebuild these small communities, right? So the only 2 that have used that so far are the Wayfarer and Rose Street project that Brandy was talking about. So again, if you know anyone who needs it, if you're one of those commercial property owners, let's please try to get you in there and help at least with one of those steps towards rebuilding your business. And again, let us know how we can help. I've got some brochures if people want to know more. Misty's here to talk to people, and we're so appreciative of your staff being able to work with us on this and just being able to get these funds out. Thank you all so much.
Thanks, Susan.
Yes.
Yeah, I just would reiterate that we couldn't do this without the support of eWeb. They had a loan program in place when the fire happened, and they were willing to just turn that right into a grant program. And it's been super effective at getting these dollars out. These are dollars that came from the state legislature, were provided to Lane County for water and wastewater repairs and replacements in the valley. And it's been a remarkable partnership to help folks get rebuilt, as Susan just mentioned. Thank you, Susan.
Thank you so much. And thank you, Misty, for all your hard work. You are an amazing resource for eWeb.
People would ask me if I got but if you go on eWeb.org and just search septic, the word septic, that page will come up. We do have some brochures, but that
So for those online, eweb.org/septic will get you to the information about this program.
Yep, and if you don't mind, I can send a few of the brochures out and hand them out to folks when they're there too, or you can talk to Misty, or we can get a hold of you, write down your information and get back to you. So, but yes, eweb.org/septic. Got it. Thank
Thanks.
you.
And next, I'm going to invite my colleague Rob Woodard to join me here. Rob is the Senior Engineering Associate at Lane County Public Works. Rob started as a special districts manager, supporting special districts, including the Blue River Water District, and has done a significant amount of work looking at wastewater and water repairs and replacements in our area. So I'm going to leave it to Rob to give updates.
Thanks, Matt.
You're so welcome.
Thanks, Matt. So, all right. So it's been about 3.5 years that I've been involved in the projects up here. What you see up on the board up there is the wastewater project. So this community wastewater project, we've done months and months of analysis, soil analysis, subsurface analysis to kind of determine exactly where we can actually place this system within the Blue River community. So the Three Sisters Meadows property was selected. What you see up there is a site plan of the 95% design for the facility. We've been coordinating with DEQ in regards to this project. They've approved a 10,000 gallon per day system, which would support approximately 18 homes or a combination of commercial and residential. What we plan to do is finish the design, which will be done probably spring of next year. And then we'll shelve it until the community is ready for that type of system. So feedback we've received is that its timing's not there yet. But this is something that is definitely going to be a great asset for the future of the community. If you guys choose to go forward with it. Next slide, please. Unless you had something?
No, you can do
Okay.
it here.
Oh, thank you. Oops. Uh-oh. Oh, crash and burn. Where's my other side? So anyways, until we get the map up, I'll talk about it. It's the Blue River Community Water Distribution Project. That project is actually going to kick off in October 20th. It was awarded to Brinks Land Improvement. You'll see a gentleman by the name of Joel Zinni walking around. He's the project manager and one of the owners of the facility, of the company. This project is going to replace all of the mains, all of the laterals, everything within the community. So it's going to actually loop the system, so it becomes much more reliable and much more flexible in regards to water flow and what have you. Jim Park is going to be heavily involved in this going forward, so we're excited about that. So we've been working closely with them to identify all the existing meters, help relocate to where they're going to be adjacent to roads versus actually buried in private properties. So we're really, really excited about that. The project is actually going to start, construction will start up by the water towers, and then the company's going to work on getting their permitting from Lane County and ODOT, and then we'll start to go down Blue River Drive with the project. So should be completed by the end of September of next year, if not sooner, which we anticipate it'll probably go a little bit faster than what we think. So, but it's been a great project. It's, a lot of people involved in it, a lot of help from internal staff as well as consultants and contractors. So I think it's going to be a great achievement for the project, for the community, and super valuable. So that's all I have, sir.
Chair, I neglected with our last presenter. If there are questions from the board and you want to fit them in now, that's an appropriate time.
Yeah, thank you for doing that. To the board, anyone have any questions on the first two items? On this one? Yeah, go ahead. Commissioner Farr. Thanks.
Rob, thanks for your presentation.
Oh, you bet.
Wastewater sewage is essential to any kind of development, as we witness in Cresswell, for instance, with complete halt in development down there.
Correct.
My question is, I've got a lot of questions, but this one is regarding, you said it's ready to go when you all are ready. What do you mean by that?
Correct. So there was a survey done initially when this all started. It was something that the community expressed that they had an interest in. We were going to try and put a community wastewater system in to help really the downtown area, because the challenge with those lots are because they're so small. And when you do an on-site system, you have to have a dedicated space for a drain field plus an adjacent replacement drain field, which really gobbles up all that,
Sure.
all that square footage. So it was determined that, hey, let's start looking at a community wastewater system. So we went through that analysis, and then there was a survey that was sent out to the community, and there was a lot of concerns in regards to monthly cost. You know, what's it going to cost? What's the monthly bill going to be? And so we've over time through the design refined that number, but we still don't have the connections that really would justify constructing the
So
system
no, my
at this
question
time.
back to what do you mean by that? One thing you mean is that when community is ready to support it and want the system, but second, regarding paying for the system, what is how does the community pay for the system?
So right now there is money available to construct it. But
Fully construct that entire system.
right.
How much is that? Just
it averages about 3 million to construct the 10,000 gallon per day system.
3 million.
Yeah. So we have that money available, but at this time, the water district has not chosen to accept responsibility for the permit that would be issued from DEQ. Okay. So that's one, we need a permit holder. And then second, we need a certain amount of connections and actually just to justify constructing it. So,
and we've heard from current and former members of the water board here, so they're the ones that make that decision ultimately. In your
that's
estimation.
correct. That's correct. Yeah.
Good. I think I have more questions regarding the sewage because one of my sidelines is I happen to be president of MWMC. Now that's no big deal. We take turns being president, but I've been on that board for a long, long time and understand that sewage collection, treatment, and distribution is one of the most essential, underlooked parts of any community.
Yep.
I know that people in Blue River understand now that that is not underlooked in this community because that really is holding a lot of things up. And I guess my question is, and no need to venture at this answer right now, but how do we expedite things in a way that gets people the ability to move forward with the construction projects that we want to see happening here? No need to answer that right now, but that's a general question that we do have. And I think that people in Blue River have that question regarding where's the poop going to go?
Absolutely. And as you know, infrastructure for any kind of development is critical.
Mm-hmm.
And the thought was initially was in order to make development thrive in the downtown area was to make an efficient way to be able to actually for everybody to utilize every square inch of their property. Yeah. So when they do come back, you know, they can really look outside the box. Absolutely. As far as their development goes.
And I'm not going to take the entire audience's time at this point in time, and there are other questions I'm sure from the board, but I'd love to set up a time where I can ask some more detailed questions that I'm just curious about.
Absolutely.
Not because I have any contradiction or questions about how it's happening, but because I really need to know what is going to happen when it gets flushed. So
yeah, absolutely. Absolutely. Thank you.
Question.
It might be good to mention that those funds are going to expire. They're not going to be available later if a year from now, if the community wants to move forward, those funds aren't going to be available.
Absolutely. Yeah. So we're at a critical point right now with Business Oregon in regards to those funds. And so it could happen by November 1st if the state actually wants to claw back that funding that is reserved for the construction of the wastewater. So if for some reason we would want to change course and actually build this, we could still do that.
Got it. And thank you. I've made note of that. And when you and I have a chance to talk, Rob, we can dig more into that just to satisfy my curiosity.
Sure.
Thank you.
Look forward to it.
Question. Go ahead.
Yes, thanks, Chair. Thanks, Chair. Rob, I want to talk about the clean water you were talking about.
Yes.
Stuff Pat was. So you're saying we can completely rebuild the water system, water lines, service lines, meters, and everything in Blue River by next September?
Correct.
Wow, that's impressive. How many service connections is that?
It's a little over 100 service connections.
And then how many of those, and Commissioner Buck's going to see where I'm going here, how many of those go through, say, LARs?
A fair amount. I mean, you know, we trying to prime the system already. We've talked to the permitting folks at Lane County to make them aware of the amount of permits that are going to be needed for this. The consultant that was hired, Civil West, is in coordination with Blue River Water District and Jim Parks in order to get those actually submitted here in the next week or two. And then also we'll be doing ODOT permitting along Highway 126.
May I interject just briefly? LARs are local access roads, which are the majority of roads in downtown Blue River.
where the majority of your potholes are in town.
Yes,
So that would be a great time to address those.
it's true. Good point. Good
Thank you.
point. Thank you.
Mr. Buck, go ahead.
I don't have any questions because I'm fully up to date.
Okay, sounds good. Just curiosity, Rob, if
Yes.
we're talking that, as Mr. Hurley said, that we have a limited timeline to that $3 million, obviously if we hang on to it and don't do it, the cost gets more and the gap gets wider. And so, I mean, at some point, we have to pull the trigger. So in my mind, I'm thinking, why why wouldn't we change course and build it now so we have it when we need it, rather than have to claw the money back or have a big gap when we want to build it?
Correct.
Is there
So
any strategy behind that?
Yeah, so we've been in discussions with DEQ, Mary Camerata. And she's been my partner in crime through this whole process. And the opinion is of DEQ is that they don't want to issue a permit to a system that's not going to be utilized. So, but I had a conversation with Lane Tompkins earlier tonight. We may have a solution to that. So we'll talk about that further probably next week.
Yeah, I guess the elephant in the room question is, how much utilization does it take to be classified as utilized?
Absolutely, because we could phase the construction. So we could build it so it just serves 2,500 gallons per day. And then maybe, as the need grows, add another 2,500 gallons per day and what have you. So there's that option too. But at this point, we have nobody standing in line to want to connect to it at all.
Gotcha. Thank you.
Thank you, Rob.
Yeah.
Asked Neil Barrett to join me. Neil's the External Affairs Officer for Oregon Housing and Community Services. Neil's going to give us an update on several of the Oregon programs that OHCS is working on. And as many of you know, Neil has spent a fair amount of time working and living up here. So he's not only somebody who works for the state, but also a local in the same body.
Thank you. And you happen to be in my gymnasium.
Thank you for letting us borrow.
I also coach basketball here. So I'm Neil Barrett, External Affairs Officer with Oregon Housing Community Services, Disaster Recovery. So largely my role is spending time all throughout the state in all of the 2020 fire affected communities. So I get to learn a lot. I know a lot about this place, but it's been an honor to travel around the state and spend time with different folks. Are you gonna run that championship? Yeah. Right. So we'll hop right into this. So this evening, I'll provide a brief update on, on the reorgan timeline and overview of how we got here, and then dive into the programmatic updates for the reorgan program as it relates specifically to Lane County.
Jessica, did I do something to? No. Okay.
Perfect. And we're on slide 4.
Yeah, I don't think the tool that I have here is going to work.
One more. Awesome. Great. So a little background overview for some folks who may be the first time hearing about reorgan and our programming. So the Community Development Block Grant Disaster Recovery is a funding source of last resort after all local funding sources have been exhausted. It's a minimum of 70% of the total 422 million must benefit low and moderate income households. And the state signed this grant agreement with HUD in February of 2023, in which we have 6 years up until 2029 to spend down the grant.
I think we'll just take a minute. Okay. So we're just gonna see if we can get the technical issues addressed here, and if not, we'll just continue going. I do want to hand it to my colleague Jessica Gebb, who did a tremendous amount of work to coordinate this entire meeting and make this all happen. And then is also running the technology for the meeting.
Awesome. I think we're here. So while the fires occurred in September of 2020, Congress did not make the allocation for the 2020 disasters until September of 2021. And so that is when we started our engagement and development of the action plan. And so with this funding, we didn't submit the action plan to HUD until September of 2022, which has then led to us in February of 2023 being able to start designing and implementing the program. So this graphic displays the different buckets, if you will, in which our programs fall under. So for housing, we have the homeowner assistance and reconstruction program, which we can repair, rebuild, replace, and reimburse out-of-pocket expenses. We also have intermediate housing assistance, which supports renters at the time of the fire. And this supports up to 24 months of rental assistance. We also have down payment assistance for first-time home buyers. And again, this is a program designed for renters at the time of the fire. And finally, under the housing bucket is the Affordable Housing Development Program, which will lead to the development of home ownership and rental opportunities. And that program will be implemented by the county. We also have the multi-sector, which is the Planning, Infrastructure, and Economic Revitalization, or the PEER program, which we've been hearing about often today. And again, that was led by local selection committees and then also being implemented by the county. Under the planning is a statewide effort to utilize local organizations working in disaster recovery to inform statewide disaster recovery preparedness, response, and recovery. And in public services, we have housing recovery services, which is housing navigation to help people towards their permanent housing solution. And then also legal services to help fire survivors with their legal representation of anything stemming out of the 2020 wildfires. Next slide. So this is a little chart of the allocations of reorgan funding that are coming specifically to Lane County. As mentioned earlier, the Affordable Housing Development, or AHD program, which will be implemented by the county, will be about $17.4 million. For the PEER program, the Planning, Infrastructure, and Economic Revitalization, I've been told I'm not supposed to use acronyms, so I say all the things out over and over again. So for the PEER program,
And Neil would appreciate that. Thank you very much.
yeah, it's a lot. I live in the world of acronyms. So the PEER program, $7.96 million, again, implemented at the county. For the homeowner assistance and reconstruction program, it is unknown how much of that money will land here because every household will likely get a different award amount. And so as we get through that program, then we will understand the amount that will actually land here. So we're excited to see those numbers come through. For IHA, or intermediate housing assistance, that's about $528,000 for the community. And then down payment assistance, or DPA, up to $2.1 million. And that'll be depending on the need of each household and the number of applicants. And then finally, housing counseling, that's a pot of about 1.75 over 5 counties supporting housing navigation. I went way too far. All right, next slide, please. And the next one. So just a little bit deeper dive into the individual programs. So for IHA, or intermediate housing assistance, we're currently serving 5 households with rental assistance. But the good news is a couple months ago, there was 11. And so the point of this program is to have people enter and then move out of it, meaning they've mentioned earlier the down payment assistance, or DPA program. It's available to households below 120% AMI. HUD does require at least 85% of that funding go to low and or moderate income households. Next slide. Mentioned earlier is the resilience planning. This initiative is led by the governor's office, and it's a statewide initiative aimed at strengthening Oregon's disaster resilience through coordinated planning, strategic investments, and cross-agency collaboration. Under public services, again, I mentioned the legal services program. So this will refer qualified individuals to work with legal experts through the Oregon State Bar to deliver assistance necessary to help impacted residents transition to more permanent housing. So this will help folks resolve legal matters or issues that have stemmed from the wildfires, whether it's contractor fraud, there could be lot line adjustments, all sorts of things need legal representation when we get into housing. Also, throughout this process, the Office of Resilience and Emergency Management, or OREM, has been providing disaster case management services, and that continues on as a partner in this. Next slide. Great. So to dig a little deeper on our Homeowner Assistance and Reconstruction Program, or HARP, we had a total of 131 individuals invited to apply. 76 of those either withdrew, opted out, or were ineligible. And we currently have 22 working through the application process, but not yet submitted. Of our 33 active cases, we have one that is on the home purchase pathway. So a few months ago, they were able to purchase a home and move in. So they have their keys and they are settled. That's the first housing, I guess, win with the HARP program in Lane County. So we're super excited about that. Moving down for the manufactured home replacement or rehabilitation pathway, we have 5 individuals working through that right now. There are 7 that are working through a stick-built and reconstruction or rehabilitation pathway. We have 10 folks who are working through reimbursement and reconstruction, and then 10 folks going down the reimbursement only pathway. Next slide, please. So over the course of the last month or so, our team has begun to meet individually with HARP applicants, as some of them are at the stage to select the style of their new home. So there's multiple options and square footage options, and that depends on the need of the household. There's 3 different styles that we currently have. The modern, which you see here, craftsman, and a farmhouse. And this particular model on the screen here is one that was selected by a McKenzie Valley resident. And so you will be seeing this structure built sometime soon in the valley. Next slide, please. So last week, OHCS announced a HARP application deadline of December 31st, 2025. And so we're highly encouraging folks to complete the first step of the HARP process, which is the eligibility questionnaire. It's a 15 to 20 minute, no documentation needed, get in the door so that we can give you a preliminary idea of if you're eligible, because Mary Ellen and our friends over there can tell you that the application is lengthy and takes quite a long time. So we're trying to get folks into the eligibility questionnaire by October 31st. And since May, the application submittals have declined by about 50%. And so last month, we only had about 11 applications statewide. The application has been open for nearly 18 months, which included engagement and outreach efforts by friends like our long-term recovery group. And across the state, over 1,000 people, it's about up to 1,100 so far, have filled out the eligibility questionnaire to get that preliminary eligibility determination. Another consideration for this HARP application deadline is considering the operational costs of keeping the program open. OHCS in the state is obligated to ensure as much funding as possible reaches the community. And so continuing this program further into the future when accounting for the operational costs, that is one of the other reasons we decided to have a HARP application deadline of 12/31. Next slide, and this is my last. Just to close, in the next year, we anticipate the Affordable Housing Development, or HD program, as well as the Planning, Infrastructure, and Economic Revitalization program. We expect to see their projects underway. The building of HARP homes should begin in earnest in the spring. There's a few other smaller rehabilitation projects that may be finished before that. And our team at OHCS is committed to this program and to all of the communities throughout the state. It's been a lot of hard work, but it's been a really good way to build community throughout the state. And none of this work would be possible without the support and collaboration from organizations like the McKenzie Valley Long-Term Recovery Group, McKenzie Community Land Trust, Homes for Good, this guy, He has a really good colleague, Megan Hirion, keeps him on track. Really appreciate her. But again, this work is difficult. Many of you community members that don't belong to an official state agency, you guys have partnered with us to give us your feedback and your opinions, and we just really appreciate the partnership and the fact that we're able to build a more resilient community. And I thank you for your time and happy to answer any questions.
Commissioner Trigger's got her hand up, and then we'll go to the vice chair.
Thank you. Thank you all. Thank you for the presentations. And thanks for that, Neil. I'm curious if you can share a little bit more about the just shy of 8 million in peer allocation to Lane County, how much of that's been expended and on what projects?
I'd have to punt that to Matt McRae.
Commissioner Trigger, I'll be happy to, I have a few slides later where I'll go into that with a little more detail, if that works.
That works. Thank you.
Thank you.
Vice chair.
Yeah, and this might fit in our next topic better also, but throughout today, I've heard a common thread of some frustration, not with the Lazy Days project, but with the current amount of front doors that are occupied. And with, maybe we can help explain looking for housing, but they can't stay in those, but we're not going to utilize the Lazy Days, some of the buildings that are there. And, part of this came because we are trying to rehouse people that weren't here, right? And if we have those people in this community, it's, you can sense the frustration that that's not available for them at this point.
I didn't hear a question.
Why? So you hear during this Lazy Days project, we heard about how flexible the funding was and how great everybody was to work with.
Copy.
But when it comes to somebody that doesn't meet this certain criteria, we're not showing any flexibility. So, how do we decide when to draw the hard lines? Not when it comes to building the housing, but when it comes to actual occupying it.
Sure, and I'll do my best on this one. So I think it can kind of start back in the fact that when we started developing these projects, and there's 2 in Jackson County, they're very similar to Lazy Days, is we had an understanding of the policy needs and how to go about it at that point in time, and then understanding or not understanding the length of time it would take to create these developments. And so what we knew 2 years ago or 2.5 years ago when we designed policy wasn't true once we were actually able to fill the units. And so to your point of adjusting and changing eligibility requirements, I feel like we've been actively doing that. We had a meeting last week with the governor's office, Regional Solutions, and some members of the board, Matt McRae and others, to whittle that down. I wasn't in that space to know exactly where that conversation ended, but it's an active conversation both internally at OHCS with Lane County and Homes for Good to make sure that we solve for that. I think the main priority was fire survivors that had that asset at the time of the fire, and we're finding that there's not that many folks that are fitting that bill right now. So I hear the concern, and I do know that we're tackling every policy solution we have.
Great. So we can, when we leave here and we're talking to people, we can say we are working on it.
100%.
Okay. Thank you. Appreciate it, Neil.
Thank you.
All right. Thank you very much, Neil. Good job. Appreciate all your work, sir.
Thank you.
Thank you, Neil. Thank you, Chair. Next, I'm going to invite Betsy Hunter to join me. Betsy's the Housing and Real Estate Development Manager for Mackenzie Valley Long-Term Recovery Group. And Jessica, if it's possible to just start with Betsy's slides, that would be ideal. Thank you.
Hello, Matt. Hello, everyone. I guess we're going.
Yeah, it's, I thought it may be just take one moment and talk about AHD.
Great.
Briefly, 60 seconds. and then hand it to you?
Sounds good.
All right. So Neil referred to the affordable housing development funds that are going to be managed by Lane County. This is $17.4 million in CDBG DR funds. So these are the same federal dollars that we've been talking about. We had a public hearing in front of you all in March, you'll recall, talking about exactly how we planned to use these funds. So we had 3 buckets proposed at the time. One was for accessory dwelling units. Another was for cottage clusters, not unlike the Rose Street neighborhood that you saw today. And the other proposal was for manufactured homes. I'm not going to go into great detail about the second 2, and instead we're going to take the time to talk about the ADU program that we've been working on with the Mackenzie Valley Long-Term Recovery Group and the Mackenzie Community Land Trust. And I say working on, and I'm just going to acknowledge the incredible amount of effort that the team at both of those organizations, and largely Betsy, has done to help us collectively understand the barriers and the solutions to putting a program together. And I want to point out that this is a program for which there's not a national example to look at, especially using CDBG DR funds, which come with all kinds of constraints that we have to follow. So there's a lot of thinking involved, and I'm going to leave it to Betsy to share about what that looks like.
Thank you, Matt. I'll give it my best shot. And we're at the end of a long day where you've been inundated with a lot of information. So I'll keep it brief and allow you to ask questions if I can illuminate anything. I want to start by saying that, there's that phrase, it takes a village. And I would say this is a project that really is the example of that, where everybody in this community is engaged in trying to bring housing back, and everyone at the county and a lot of smart industry experts have been trying to help us think about moving this project forward. What we're conceiving of for the Mackenzie Valley Long-Term Recovery Group is a way to get rental housing back in this community as fast as possible. And so we came up with this program idea of accessory dwelling units on private property owned properties so that we can immediately provide rental housing to workers at 80% median and below as quickly as possible through this program. And we'll go to the next slide and kind of give you some idea about what that means. So the proposal is to put 20 homes on 20 different private pieces of property. The homes are, the county regulations say that a property owner can have an ADU placed on their property if they have a minimum 2-acre lot. ADUs can be up to 900 square feet. So that's something like a 2-bedroom, 1-bath home. And the funds that we are proposing to use allow us to serve families up to 80% of area median income, which for a family of 3 arbitrarily is about 66,000. So it's folks in the local workforce. It's also folks who are retiring here who need help paying rent. So you can see a chart at the bottom that kind of is the Lane County example of area median income. So next slide, please. So to get this project going, after we submitted the big idea to the county and were selected as a project to move forward, the county folks funded some initial outreach that we conducted this spring, where we promoted the program and tried to spread information about what was possible here. And Mary Ellen Wheeler, who's here, did a tremendous amount of work spreading the word about the opportunities and trying to answer questions from community members as we were exact policies for the program. But we managed to get at least 3 dozen property owners expressing interest in the possibility of putting an ADU on their property. We've taken them through an extensive screening process where we've investigated their ability to site appropriate septic, have electrical capacity, to be insured, to make sure that the zoning is appropriate for their piece of real estate. So to do everything we can to queue up interested property owners so that when the program is ready to move forward, we can expedite the process. You can see the purpose of the map there is just to show you that we're not talking about one community here. We're talking about interested property owners up and down the length of the fire affected communities throughout the Mackenzie Valley. Next slide, please. I'm gonna try to not sing, but tell you the praises of what I think ADUs do for any community, and this community in particular. I mean, we can, through this program, we can get affordable housing in the community faster than we typically are able to do even in urban areas. It really puts property owners and homeowners in a place of activating their own real estate. It provides them a source of equity and income. It provides connection for neighbors to connect with neighbors and solve affordable housing by having literally people in your backyard who need housing, sponsored by the owner of the property. What else am I bragging about here? It builds home equity for property owners, connects neighbors to each other. And we really think that this is a model that could be replicated in other parts of the country as a model for bringing rental affordable housing back into fire affected and other disaster affected communities. Next slide. We've been working on a timeline. Frankly, I was hoping that we would be delivering ADUs right now in people's property. Process always takes longer than that. We've been working over the summer to flesh out the parts of the program, not just the development phase, but the operations phase. We've gotten industry smart people around the table, brainstorming different solutions to operational challenges. We're hoping that now, September and October, we're ready to put a package together to be approved at the at OHCS, and that they can quickly greenlight our ability to get things going so that we start going through procurement processes for materials and labor this fall. And by early next year, we can start doing site work on people's property and getting housing units out to properties as quickly as possible. And we're hoping that we can do all 20 units within a year of getting the project going. That seems totally doable. And I hope that we can get the ball rolling so that we see real success and you're back to enjoy the fruits of this labor by this time next year. We'll see how it goes. Anyway, I think that's the last slide. So I'm happy to answer any questions from here.
Chair, I have a question. If I lost.
Yeah, go ahead, Commissioner.
Oh, great. Thank you.
We can't
Sorry.
see you, so we're kind of working on hand signals.
That's what I thought with the screen share out. Thank you. Thank you for the presentation, Betsy. I'm guessing you just misspoke as you said it's the end of a long day, but I wanted to be really clear for the folks in the room. When you mentioned eligible properties have to be at least 2 acres, and you said that's a county requirement, that's actually state limitation imposed on us. And so I'm very curious. It's something we as a board have talked about, and I don't want to speak for everyone, but I think everyone's expressed some frustration with that limitation. It's great that you've identified 36 properties, 23 likely eligible. I don't want to put you on the spot, so if it's follow-up, I would be so curious if you have even a remote sense of how many more there might be if the program weren't subject to that 2-acre requirement.
Thanks for
and
the
I don't know if there's any use in exploring some kind of exemption for fire affected communities. Commissioner Buck might know more since she's been so much more involved with the legislative process around this, but every time I see that, it frustrates me.
Thanks for the clarification. You're right. It would be great to have the flexibility of smaller pieces of property. Anybody in the room have any guesses? I don't want to put anyone on the spot in particular, but would it grow the numbers of interest if we could go with minimum 1 acre? Yes, the answer is yes. We would love that.
Commissioner Farr.
Thank you, Chair. And, Commissioner Trieger kind of broke the ice on the question that I have, or the comment with a slight question. 2 acres and less, that's fairly restrictive, and it really limits the number of properties. You say we have 36 interested. Not all 36 are going to be eligible. It's a fairly exhaustive process that determines whether or not people are eligible, and it's time consuming. So the question, Commissioner Trieger's already asked the question. Do you have a good feeling for how many people will actually, can we really meet that 20 house goal? And my comment is after your answer to that question.
There's been a lot of interest, and I would say we'll have well more than 20. Part of what we've been wrestling with as we've been working our way through the policies are some of the questions that property owners will need to know answers to before they commit to a program.
Yeah.
So I would say that as we nail down the particulars of how the program will operate, we'll have more interest. And I have no doubt that we'll meet that 20 property goal.
And I am absolutely enthralled because this is something that we've never been able to do before. And it is a tiny step along a real long path that we have to go down regarding ADUs. Having a single 900 square foot or less ADU on a 2-acre property is one small step. Having ADUs far more flexible, using far more than just stick-built houses, using as many different types of housing as we can on as small a lot as possible that will fit into the neighborhood is a journey we have to go on, both inside and outside of urban growth boundaries. Outside of urban growth boundaries, we're more restricted, but we have to work on those restrictions. How can we, without losing the character of our rural neighborhoods and our rural environment, without losing that character, how can we add more homes? 20 is wonderful. 20 is a lot more than zero. Let me do the math on that. Yeah, it's a lot more than zero, which is what we have today. Or flexibility in adding ADUs both inside and outside of urban growth boundaries. A little bit beyond your charge at this point in time, it is an opportunity to make that statement.
I think that's wonderful. And I would say, let us get going and people will be excited and want to replicate this.
You make this happen, and that's one step. Thank you.
Commissioner, go ahead, please.
Thank you, Chair. I think just one point to add for ADUs or accessory dwelling units. So we need to make sure we say the full acronym for most people. Is that there are a lot of rural properties that folks who live there are aging. They have family members that may want to help carry on either their land or eventually inherit their home. And this is an opportunity in order to really demonstrate that this is a viable concept for housing in rural areas. And part of this is not only to help fire affected communities, but ADUs in particular are fairly expensive to build per square foot because they're small. And there isn't an economy of scale for building those homes. This is a program that will help fund those homes. And also show that this is a way that we can carry on rural livelihoods in a way that's responsible. It ensures that the land is not overdeveloped, but also that it's productive and the communities can really thrive in this way. I just wanted to share that because a lot of folks think ADUs may be a way in which to instantly add more housing. But the costs of building ADUs are just so expensive. So there has to be another way in which to incentivize their building in order to reap all the rewards that Betsy just noted. And this is one of those programs. And it shouldn't just be for fire affected communities, although that is what we're trying to assist right at this moment in your community. But eventually, this model should be replicated in many other communities, not necessarily because they had a full disaster in their area, but we've got to think outside the box and find funding mechanisms to show that this is a viable way to build additional housing in rural areas. Thank you, Chair.
Commissioner Farr.
Thank you. And to tag along with that, it is expensive to build a separate facility, a separate building as an ADU. It can be far less expensive to convert your existing home by converting a garage, converting a small part of the house into a separate ADU. We have tremendous restrictions against that. It can be far less expensive. Once again, it's not your charge, but we're moving along that path. And when I became so excited when I heard about the possibility of the 2 acre parcels that we're talking about right now, because it's breaking the ice. It's opening people's eyes to the fact that ADUs are good for the homeowner, they're good for the renter, they're good for our tax structure. There's no bad to it, as long as the neighbors are okay with it. And if we build them to standards, whether it's inside an existing home or whether it's separate from an existing home, whether it's mobile and wheeled onto the property or built from the ground up, it's a fantastic way for everybody to win. And the more effort we put into it, the more we're going to reap the benefit, and the faster we're going to reap the benefit. Bravo for the work you're doing. It's whipping us down the road. Thank you.
All right, great, Betsy, good work. Would like to hear when the 23 are eligible, who those are and when they start. I hope your assessment for a year is as ambitious as what would be possible, but I'm crossing my fingers like you are.
Let's go.
Yeah, come on, good deal. Thank you.
Thank you, Chair. Thank you, Betsy. Yeah, I just want to reiterate the multiple parties involved here in creating solutions. You know, we Lane County are trying to facilitate and provide funding in places where it's most effective, but it really, you know, it's these partners that we have that are doing the lion's share of lifting to make these programs happen. So my hat's off to Mackenzie Community Land Trust and the Long-Term Recovery Group for their work. And then lastly, I'm just going to provide a few updates. I'm mindful of the time, Chair. I want to make sure we leave time for comments from you all at the end. So I'm going to try and be as brief as I can. I'm going to very quickly provide you with an update on permits like we typically do during a holiday farm fire update. And then I'm going to touch on the federal programs and the ending of one of the state funding programs. I should have done this at the beginning of our meeting, and so I apologize, but I just want to thank the Mackenzie School for hosting us tonight. I just am kind of blown away by how far this school district has gone to support recovery. From the very beginning, they've just gone above and beyond, and in particular, Lane Tompkins, who gave comment tonight, and also Lacey Joy. They both have just done amazing things to help support this community by leveraging everything the school has to offer. So thank you. I think also the community recognizes the value of this school campus and the institution that it is one of the reasons that we're supporting a hazard mitigation project, which we've talked about with you before. I'm not going to go into detail on that project other than to say we're in the design phase right now for adding retrofits to some of the buildings in this school to make it better able to withstand future fires, snowstorms, windstorms, etc. And I'd like to call out one of my colleagues, Shannon Briers from OEM, the Oregon Department of Emergency Management, who's helping us facilitate that project. Thank you, Shannon. I think once completed, it's going to be a huge asset to the school. So again, huge group effort there. I'm going to try this one more time and see. No, all right. I'll let you, if you want to just maybe. Hey, look at that. It worked. So you've seen this by the numbers. I'm going to run through it, but I'm also going to explain for folks who haven't seen this before what you're looking at. The total dwellings lost in the fire was 517. And so now I'm just looking at the permits, just so we have, just to gauge as a sense of recovery. There's 261 permits issued for dwellings that were lost. So that's 50% of the dwellings that were lost where there's a permit issued. There's 32 permits in process, 4 in review. And importantly here, this is the number I look at the most: dwellings completed. So how many homes have been finished and are now occupied, or at least occupiable? And that's 225, so 44% of the total dwellings lost. My colleague, Marianne Nolte, who's on the phone, and just listening in case there are questions from you all about permits. Thank you, Marianne, for joining us tonight. She pointed out that we had 54 residents apply for an intent to build form. So the state legislature enabled people to rebuild their existing structure as long as it didn't change dramatically, up to 5 years post-fire. We just, as you know, just crossed that threshold. And Marianne and others in the land management division created a process to make it easy for somebody to say, hey, I still want to build. I'm signing up for that that program to demonstrate my interest in rebuilding. I just want to call out the process that they put together with support from the McKenzie Long-Term Recovery Group, who encouraged us to really think about making this easier for people, and it's getting used. And that deadline has now passed, but we have 54 people who are in the queue now because that process was put together. And look, I can do this on my own. These are the same numbers, but in a chart format to show you how things are changing over time. On the very left-hand side is October of 2021, and I'm looking at the scale on the bottom. On the very right-hand side is December. We're not quite there yet, but October of 2025. So we're looking at a 4-year stretch here. And again, homes completed 225, and at the top, that dotted blue line is the total number of homes lost, 517. So we can see that the number of homes being completed was moving a fair bit faster. It's starting to taper off a bit. I am optimistic with the HARP program that Neil just talked about to help property owners rebuild. We'll see an uptick in permits. Also with the ADU program that Betsy just referred to, that we'll also see an uptick in permits. It's hard to know exactly what that looks like, but suffice it to say, we're certainly not done doing everything we can to support rebuilding. And so hopefully we'll see an upward tick in those numbers in the next year or so. So, we've really touched on this already. The CDBG DR funds in Oregon, $422 million statewide. We talked about the $17.4 million for affordable housing development and the $7.9 million. And that's what Commissioner Trieger was asking about. So I'm going to take just a moment to walk through those peer projects. That's the planning, infrastructure, and economic revitalization projects we've heard a lot about. So there's a $7.9 million budget for here in Lane County for Holiday Farm fire recovery. There, as you all are aware, there's a fairly lengthy community process of the peer selection committee to help sort and prioritize projects. And these are the projects that were selected by that group for advancement to OHCS, and then OHCS screened these projects and said, yes, these are all ready to go. So one is a business recovery fund. The planned budget there is $2 million. Our community partner, Community Lending Works, is working right now to put in place the program details so that we can start taking applications for that program in November or as soon as a government shutdown ends. We're mindful of trying not to spend any money that we might not be able to get reimbursed. But the plan is to have that in place and ready to go in November or December of this year. And I just have to tip my hat to the team at Community Lending Works, who's been a partner all the way along here, helping us think through what does this look like? How do we do it? They're experienced in administering grant funds. And we also, again, have a partnership with McKenzie Valley Long-Term Recovery Group in that program to help with the outreach to businesses. Another project queued up is the McKenzie School HVAC. So in addition to the hazard retrofit program project that I just mentioned, there's also peer funding set aside to help replace and upgrade HVAC systems in this on the school campus. There's also funding set aside for McKenzie Food Pantry. There's been a pantry operating in this area for quite some time, and this will give them a permanent home by building a new building that they could use indefinitely for that purpose. The commissioners were on a tour this afternoon and stopped at Lieber to take a look at one of the existing water tanks at the fire station there. Chief Darren Busich is helping lead the charge on that project, where we will be siting multiple large water tanks to support fire suppression activities. Another project that's lined up is Blue River Park repairs and improvements. There's $897,000 there to support the rehabilitation of that park. And that's in addition to an Oregon State Parks grant that was awarded to the Parks District. So there's funding there to help put that park back together. With all of these projects, Lane County is going to be doing the administration. We'll help with procurement, we'll help with managing finances, we'll help with reporting. And then we're looking to these partners to show us how they want it done, and we're following their lead on design and selecting contractors, et cetera. Lastly is the Mackenzie River track improvements. So they're preparing to make some improvements to the track, including a new shelter structure, showers, and a few other improvements. Naturally, there's some significant program administration that goes along with this. We've talked about that. So that's the dark line you see there is funding to pay for the administration. Part of that, we're paying contractors to help us with some of this administrative work as well. Commissioner Trieger asked about the amount of money that's been spent so far. I will say we have a couple of contractors hired, but so far most of the work has been planning and administrative. We haven't actually purchased any construction or purchased any materials for construction. So it's in the few $100,000 range of dollars expended so far, or that 7.9 million. We just finalized our contract with Oregon. And hopefully that answers your question, Commissioner Trieger. So that was a very rapid fire through peer funding and peer projects. And the last, I have, I think, oh, I'm sorry, does Commissioner Trieger have a question? Yes, thank you. We'll
Oh, thank you. Yeah, and maybe if it could wait until you're done, or I'll ask it, and if you want to wait till you're done, it's just.
Oh, no, go ahead, please. Yeah.
A little more about the 2 million that Community Lending Works, great organization. Do we know, are there constraints on the size of loans or the number of loans available? Whether that 2 million has the potential to go all to one business, has to be spread among a certain number, there's a minimum and maximum loan amount. What do we know about how the 2 million will be administered?
Yeah, that's a great question, Commissioner Trieger. Thank you. There aren't constraints from Oregon Housing Community Services on the minimum or maximum size. There are constraints on some of the other variables, but not those. Community Lending Works and the community partners that are supporting the thinking about that grant program, certainly not suggesting that we would grant 2 million to one party, because there are a number of affected businesses that are looking to buy equipment or inventory or the like with these dollars. So it will be, less than $1 million, I would anticipate, as a maximum award, in order to make sure that we spread it out amongst the many businesses that are interested. We did a survey prior to starting this program of the businesses affected by the fire, asking them if they were recovered, if they had existing needs, what those needs looked like. And it totaled about $6.5 million of stated need among about 10 businesses that were still had unmet needs. So $2 million doesn't go very far to addressing that unmet need, but there's certainly a desire to distribute that as fairly as we can. And those details are being worked out right now. And as soon as I have them, Commissioner Trieger, in a form where they can be shared, I will share them with the board. Great, thank you. I'm going to move on now to just summarize a number of projects and programs that we funded with state funds. So we've talked about this a little bit with the board, that the federal funds that we are encountering now are substantial and helpful, probably insufficient to the need. I think it's fair to say, but they are also going to be slower to use than the state dollars that we have used in the past. We are right now wrapping up our state grant, the IGA that we had for $5 million with the state. And I'm going to very quickly run through for you all, and also those who are here with us today, the uses that we've made there. I'm not going to spend a lot of time on any one because you heard about these, but I think it's important to note how many different places these dollars have been aimed. And I want to tip my hat to my colleague, Megan Hurion, who does so much work to make contracts move, to track procurement, to make sure that everything works just in line and that we keep track of all of it. And it's probably an unreasonable number of contracts that we put in place, but I think you'll see the significant effect that has happened from these state funds. And again, these are funds that came to us from Oregon Housing and Community Services that were allocated by the state legislature right after the fire. So really briefly, my colleague Becky Taylor has been working on overseeing Blue River Drive engineering projects. So planning for the downtown stretch, especially of Blue River Drive, to rebuild that into a main street instead of an old highway. We funded a retracement survey in downtown Blue River to mark out all of the corners of all the properties in downtown Blue River so that not everybody had to do that on their own. We then went and put together a grant program with the Mackenzie Valley Long-Term Recovery Group to provide survey funding for those who wanted it, who were outside of downtown Blue River. And we provided some funding to support the fire station rebuilding and equipping that new fire station. Some of these funds are absolutely being used to help fund our work at Lane County, including our public works staff that are working on some of these projects and some of our administrative time. We also funded a number of services to help us make this happen between meeting facilitation, mediation, and technical assistance. Looking at housing, this board, the day that we received these grants from OHCS, simultaneously committed $800,000 of that to the Rose Street neighborhood project that you all saw today. And we added another $90,000 thereafter. We have committed $1.3 million to the Mackenzie Valley Long-Term Recovery Group to build some of those rapid rehousing projects that enable seniors, low-income households to get rehoused quickly, especially those who were precariously housed. Betsy was talking about the ADU program. We allocated some of these dollars to do that pre-site development work. So the Mackenzie Valley Long-Term Recovery Group has been going out, as she just mentioned, talking with property owners. That was all funded with this $5 million IGA. These funds were also used to support land acquisition for Mackenzie Community Land Trust project. And it provided individual assistance, which is anything from furniture to lumber for the deck or a cover over an RV, a whole variety of things that can fall under individual assistance. These funds were distributed through the Mackenzie Valley Long-Term Recovery Group, as well as Lane County Human Services and Dev Northwest. Some of these dollars have been set aside to provide materials to construct outdoor storage for the properties at Lazy Days, the homes at Lazy Days. They also funded heat pumps for the park model RVs that you just saw today at Lazy Days. That's it. And we're wrapping up those funds. We've pushed them in a bunch of directions to make the best use of them. That's all I have for presentation today. I thank you for your time, and during my rapid fire summary of what we've done so far, I'm happy to take questions.
Well, thank you, Mr. McCray. Great job as always. And thank you to all the team that backed you up and all the people that made presentations. It was very good, very thorough. And I hope you all have brains larger than I and have all the facts ready for the test that we're going to issue in a few minutes. So nobody leave. We're going to do a quick test before you go. But to the board, any questions or comments to wrap us up as we head out? Mr. Buck, you want to go first?
Sure. Thank you, Chair. I again want to thank our hosts, Mackenzie School District, for having us today. This is the first time since I've been your commissioner that we've traveled outside of Harris Hall. I really enjoy it. I love the tours, and I want to thank my colleagues for being willing to travel out and take the time to come upriver and see all the work that's been happening and to meet you individually. I also want to note Representative Parbuck and thank him for being here today as well. There's clearly been work that's been happening over the last 5 years. There is a lot more work to do. The most flexible funding available that we have been able to utilize from the local level, the state and local level, has largely been expended. So the funding that we are now looking at is the funding from the federal government in the form of community development block grant recovery dollars. They're the most administratively burdensome dollars in which to utilize.
as you can see through the years of regulations and meetings, that it's taken to get to this point. I wish there was a faster way, and if I could write a way in which to deliver recovery dollars to places like Blue River and others that have been affected by disasters, I certainly would give them all the thoughts and all the feedback that I've really been gathering from all of you. You all hold a very special place in my heart. I've been working diligently with you to help support you in every way possible. And at this point, there's more money available through these disaster recovery dollars, but they're just a fragment of what is really actually needed in order to recover a community, whether it be for housing, whether it be for commercial, which is lacking sorely, basically non-existent. You can't have recovery of housing without recovery of economic development and revitalization in the form of commercial business. They go hand in hand. And that has been a sore spot for many of you, clearly, but also in my advocacy with the state, because there are challenges with utilizing public funds for private enterprise. And that's a barrier, it's a strong barrier to recovery. I will continue to advocate on your behalf. Please feel free to reach out to me. And again, I want to thank my colleagues for asking great questions tonight, being interested and helping in any way possible for your recovery.
Thank you. Commissioner Farr.
Thank you, Chair. First thing I'd like to do is thank Commissioner Buck for convening this meeting. You know, I've been around the commission for a few more years. I've been in Oak Ridge and Florence and Cottage Grove and other places. This is the first time in quite some time that we've been into a community, and one that is so eager to hear how the Board of Commissioners is going to respond to your immediate needs. Thank you, Commissioner Buck. You passed along the credit to the people who did the work to get us up here, but you, in fact, are the convener, and you are the reason that we're here. Thank you. Now, that being said, I've been following the fire since the day it happened. I have a friend sitting in the audience, Don Cayley, who brought me up here a number of times to see progress from within just a couple of weeks after the fire occurred. And we've seen some pretty amazing progress. And it's hard to believe that 5 years have elapsed. And one thing, I've been surprised by two things. One is the quality of the rebuilding of housing that is occurring inside Blue River. Wonderful houses. And while we mourn the loss of the old houses, the new houses are sustainable for the future and will be there a lot longer than the old houses would have been. So that's wonderful news. And it's wonderful news on the residential front. The other surprise I got when I drove up to Myers General Store, I was going to pop in and grab a bag of chips. Well, it's not open. What? So that's the thing that surprised me is something that you said. Let's see. It was you, Jane Wilson. You still here? She left. Well, Jane said, we don't have a store yet. Now, I have a question for you all in the audience. How many people shopped at Myers at some point? Yeah, I thought so. Nearly everybody. And the ones who didn't raise your hand probably didn't hear the question that I asked. How many people have shopped at Myers? Because I think everybody has. And what do you do if you need a loaf of bread on Sunday evening? What do you do? Where do you go? How far do you drive to get it? So, you know, we do a very good job, and we all acquiesce to this during our discussions today in recovery in housing. Everybody's got to focus on housing and houses and how do we build houses. And I think we're doing, for the most part, a pretty good job across the board at a lot of different levels. But we are neglecting commercial development. We're not putting enough resources into commercial development. And I'm gonna use Melanie as my focal point right now. We have a store here in Blue River that's not open yet. What the heck? And you know, the amount of money that we need, I look at the economic revitalization plan. We've spent there's about $6 million allocated to it. It's a little over 6. Of which $2 million is the business recovery fund. How much of that do we expect to go to Myers General Store? Well, you know, it's not going to be a great deal of that. And Myers needs someplace close to $1 million perhaps to get the store operating. What can we do? How can we apply it? And I look down the list of how we're spending the money in the economic revitalization. What is the most important way to spend that money to the people who live in this community? I can't think of anything more important than your general store. Now, certainly there are other employers and other businesses in the area, but what can we do to kickstart getting this store reopened? I know I'm not the only one sitting on this panel who's interested in that. Another question that I ask on the $5 million or so that we have allocated for projects, we do have 1.244 million developed for Lane County administration. I need to hear more about that. That's greater than 20% of the entire project. So I'm not asking questions about that. I'm more than likely going to find out that's exactly what was needed to do it. But that being said, you need a store, and we need to focus a little community. So I'm not going to rest until I can buy a bag of chips in Blue River.
Thank you, Commissioner Farr. Commissioner Trigger, please.
Thank you. Well, thank you, everyone. I know it's getting late. I'm so sorry I couldn't join the tour. I just had an unavoidable conflict in Corvallis all day. I'm so glad I was able to get back in time to join this part, in particular to hear all the public comment. The last time I was up in Blue River for a tour was about a year ago, and I saw your beautiful firehouse. I saw your library completed and sheetrocked, but I was really excited to come back and see it with books in it. Rose Street Cottages was just a concept and a blank piece of dirt when I was there before. So I was really looking forward to coming and seeing the progress. I'm sure I'll arrange another walkabout soon. But I really, as I was listening to everybody's comments, was just so struck by everyone's perseverance and commitment and love of your community. But I also know that you're really tired. And we're talking a lot about the rebuilding of housing, of homes, but that you all lost what was inside those homes, and that can't be replaced. 5 years is a really significant milestone for a community who's been through what yours has been through to mark, and it's great to celebrate all the progress, but it's hard not to see how much there still is to do, because, you know, Melanie, you do matter, all of you really do, and so I'm just really grateful that you are continually so willing to share your experience, share your story, open your community to us to come have a walkthrough and meet with you and hear your feedback, whether it's appreciation or criticism or frustration. We need to hear it all, so that we can share it with our partners and work on your behalf. So thank you for all of that, and thank you to Jane. Was it Jane? No, it was Shay, I think, who talked about the Dark Skies Initiative. I'm looking forward to getting my brochure and reading through that, because that's an issue I share your interest in. So just my gratitude to everyone who made tonight possible, and particularly to everyone in the community. Just keep going and know that we're all doing everything we can to support you. Thank you.
Thank you, Commissioner Trigger. Vice Chair Seneca.
Yes, thank you, Chair. Well, thank you all for having us tonight. It was, well, and today, it was great going through the tour. Most of us here have done it multiple times now, and it's inspiring and heart-wrenching every time. You know, Commissioner Barr and I swung by Obsidian for dinner, and we were talking with the guy sitting there taking our food order, and he was talking about the reason he's here is because of the community. And you walk through the community and you're talking to just the people that stop and want to talk to you, and they're very proud of their community. And I love that about this place, and we'll keep coming back. And I think everybody here has said, and I know they are dedicated to making sure we can continue to do everything we can until this place is back to how it was. You know, I just take a second and talk. Melanie, your story is every time we talk, I was so excited to come up because I hadn't heard about the latest hiccups. And actually, even Chair Lovell and I were saying, man, I wonder what the store's going to look like. Are we going to get buy a piece of jerky or go in there or something? And we came up and we both looked at it and just kind of stopped. And these are the things that we need to hear about every day so we can do something about it. So we can be the voice. You said you guys need help, and there's a lot of people here that need help. And we will be here to help. We will be your voice at the next level. And when we're feeling the passion that you guys have here, that passion exudes and it goes everywhere. So I was thinking exactly what Commissioner Trieger said. You guys, I could sense some frustration still in tired and all. I've told you before, but above that, I still sense the passion that this community has, and that says a lot about it. Tabitha and I were sitting there joking around as we found our favorite house at the new Rosewood complex, and that is the community being rebuilt, and how amazing it is to look at those new houses and just think this is something very special here. So thank you guys for having us, and I want to thank all of the staff that's here from Wayne County and our partners. It's a late night, but we truly appreciate everybody coming out tonight. So thank you.
Thank you, Vice Chair. I know we're running short on time, but something in my spirit tells me that Mr. Rickoff, I'd like to give some of my time to you, sir.
Chair, Commission, thank you. I mean, it's been a very powerful day. As Commissioner Farr reminded us, we've done this in the past. We have not done this as frequently as we should, and really this is the first time we've done this since COVID. As an individual who lost a home here and continuing to work with the county and seeing how hard these remarkable individuals have been working, and every challenge we've come up against, this community and these individuals have pushed through and found a way to yes. This has been a day for me of great pride and a little bit of sadness as we still look at how much needs to be done. I'm one of those people who, when I needed that last ingredient, would charge down to the store and find it and be warmly welcomed, get a chance to get caught up. We never got out of there. I said today on the tour that I viewed it as a community center for us. Yes, it was a commercial property. At the same time, it's where we met, where we checked in. And I think we're all still grieving that we don't have the beating heart in the center of town. And I've never been more grateful to live anywhere. I'm not a permanent resident yet, but with a year to go before my retirement, I can't wait to truly be here. So thank you, Chair, for the moment.
Yeah, thank you. Appreciate it very much. I totally agree with my colleagues. I don't want to repeat a lot of what they said, but I do say that the businesses are getting overlooked, and that's a key component to economic vitality and the revitalization of the community. Downtown Springfield's very dear to me, but it has the same bones and the same soul that Oak Ridge does on a smaller level, and you need a store, you need a place to go. One of the comments I heard, I want to read back to you because it's really sinking into my spirit here, is that those that grew and matured with the town cannot be replaced by a convenience store without a soul investment in the area. I heard that today. I also heard, how do you buy the heart of a community? The store, the post office, the library, name a business that not only fills a need, but gives emotional and relational connection to the humanity of the community that money can't put a price on. I heard that today too, and it really struck me. And so what I read mostly I read this, that faith is the substance of things hoped for and the evidence of things not seen. And I want to tell you today, most especially, I seen substance of this town's character and evidence of your perseverance that is going to make this town what you dream it can be if we can just get through the bureaucracy. And we're here, all my colleagues, I can speak for them, I'm sure, we're here to make that process as painless as possible, even though there's been pain inflicted. So you'll have our commitment on that. So I want to thank you all for coming tonight. I want to thank Jessica. I want to thank our head county counsel, Mr. Rob Bovett. Mr. Rickoff, thank you for coming. My colleagues, Rep Harvick, the video team, Tim's up there in the stadium over there in the stands, and Neil and Ryan, thank you. Gosh darn it. And all you people that and Judy's over here hiding too in the corner. I see her over there. Thanks for Judy to make the trip. And to all you people who we represent on your behalf. And thanks again, Matt McRae, for just doing a great job doing the coordination and all that. And all of you who helped bring this meeting to Blue River. This, so far in my first 10 years, been my favorite meeting. I don't think I've ever heard more positivity in public comments, and I want to thank you for that. It's what I needed today to hear. So again, thank you for coming. Let me just say our next regular board meeting will be Tuesday, October 14th, 2025 in Harris Hall, 9 a.m. If you happen to be grabbing a cup of coffee in town, that's where we'll be. And again, we thank you for coming. Please drive safe, and we'll be here for a few minutes after to chat. This meeting, special meeting of the Blue River regular county commissioners meeting is now adjourned.